Hi everyone, it's Johnny here from Flexible Digital Urban Modelling with Dr. Marcus White from the University of Melbourne, and today I'm going to show you a pretty cool new feature from 3D Studio Max Design, or 3D Studio Max 2014, called Populate. And this is great for adding pretty realistic characters to your scene to give your designs I guess a sense of scale, but also a sense of movement. You can find Populate here in the ribbon, and you can expand it to show all of the tools available. And there's two main features with Populate. One is flows, where people move along a path that you dictate, or idle areas, where you can draw sections where people might stand alone or in groups, doing things like talking on a phone or scratching their head or these sorts of things. But today I want to show you about creating a flow. So you can do that by clicking simply on this icon and clicking and drawing. You'll notice that on this path there's these little icons. They're pretty stereotypical or cliche icons for women and men, women being pink and men being blue. This allows you to see where the people are going to be walking. So if I select my flow and I go to Modify, Options, you can change here the width of the flow. And you can see that as you change the width, the number of flows within this decreases or increases. And I can also change the density of people. And then I can also change the gender balance, so males, females, and then also the direction that people are going to be moving in. Now if I hit simulate, you can see here's our people in our scene. And you see that I've got 300 frames, and the people animated walking for this duration. You can change this by changing the number of frames in your timeline. So I might change it to 500. But then you also need to change the number of frames up here in the flow. And again simulate. So we now have people moving for 500 frames. You can also delete the characters when you don't need them. So over here you have edit flow, you can add points. I can open up and I can expand this in the modifier. And I can choose segments or points. So I might choose points. Select this point. And I can change the shape of my flow. Or I can also choose the segments. Unfortunately, you can't move these up and down. Perhaps this will come out in one of the future releases of Populate or 3D Studio Max. You can, though, create a ramp. So when you have the segment selected, this icon is available, and I can create a ramp. And you see that when I go too far, the lines disappear, and this indicates that it can't generate people at that slope. So you just have to be careful with that. So although you can't have your flow following an actual undulating terrain, you can do very basic rises and falls with the flow yourself manually. So then I hit simulate. And you can see now the people are going up and down. Another neat thing you can do is have flows intersect. And unfortunately, sometimes this can be a little bit temperamental. I think it works best when there's a fair distance of straight line. You can see that this icon appears, and this indicates a intersection. I simulate this now. I think this hasn't worked. Maybe if I delete this original flow, delete the people, and I create a more simple straight line. Yeah, there we go. So we get the green arrows, and this indicates that it is a successful intersection. And it can only work on certain angles as well. So if I simulate this section, you'll see that, hopefully, that some people will actually turn from their existing flow path to the other one, which is quite cool. And also people tend to avoid each other, which is also a nice feature. Another option here is the idle areas, which you can use the brush and change the width. So that's only for the flow. The brush, so I can draw my idle areas. And you can see here that there's these other circles with sometimes 3, sometimes 2 people standing in them. Let me just delete these. The people. If I simulate these idle areas, you can see people just sort of hanging around, bobbling their heads, looking a bit drunk, generally just speaking to themselves. And similarly to flow, you can change some of these settings. So the density might decrease. You might have more groups of 3 or 2. You might have more males or females. Change the orientation. Obviously you can't change the orientation of the groups because they're all facing each other. You simulate that again. You can also create boxes and circles. Simulate. And there you have it. You can also, with the idle areas, you can raise people up, so you might have people standing on the rooftops or people standing in the streets. Yeah, so that's the quick introduction to Populate in 3ds Max 2014. Thanks for watching.